Look around, we need hope. Dark world, we need hope. Broke world, we need hope. We all need hope, need hope, need hope. Look around, we need hope. Broke world, we need hope. We all need hope. But tell them it's hope for the broken. 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 Tell them it's hope for the broken. Yeah. It's hope for the broken. Yeah. It's hope for the broken. Yeah. It's hope for the broken. Boy, look around, we need hope. No question about it. Can't get it.
Well, once again, we're back, healing broken souls, and we're going to have our panel introduce themselves. Ladies first.
Hola, it's me, Taisha.
Hey, it's Drea.
I'm Benny.
And I'm Johnny.
All right, so we're back with another discussion on how to help heal broken souls. And one of the things that I've been noticing is a lot of people have had issues of broken promises in their life and lifetime. Now, and I realize that we can go down a deep rabbit hole with broken promises. Mm-hmm. So what I like to focus on is how do you, each one of you, deal with a current issue or a broken promise that someone hasn't kept with you? And y'all can start wherever you want.
I guess I would have to say it depends on the promise. I mean, sometimes you handle all things differently, but is it, I guess, how you want to say it, you pick and choose your battles. So okay. Pick and choose which one is most important to you. Or all promises that have been broken in your life just
and sometimes it depends on the person, I guess. When you have a history with that person, you kind of see it's maybe like an ongoing promise breaking.
Okay.
And then I think about if someone makes a promise and in the back of your mind you're like, oh yeah, they don't never keep their promise, so I'm not even worried about that. So that's one thing that I think about too. Like some people's promises, I guess, mean more than others, so they would hurt worse.
So John, what would you constitute a promise? How would you identify a promise?
I would say a promise is keeping your word. If you say you're going to do something, you do it. If you say you're going to be somewhere, you're there. Whatever that looks like to the individual. So I try to be someone of integrity, and if I say that I'm going to be there at a certain time, I'm there. And if I can't, I let people know ahead of time before, so then that way they could either make other plans or they could wait on me till I get there, but knowing that I'm on the way. So Jay, I heard you say, you want them to be able to keep that promise. Taisha, you say it all depends on the person, but where do we draw the line for how we allow people to not keep their promises to us? Because a lot of people are hurt by non-kept promises. I think you got to consider the source. And when I say that, it's like, is the person capable of being able to keep the promise? They may have the greatest intentions, right, but if you look at their circumstances in their life at that time, do they have the resources to back up what they're promising?
And then that's when I'm like, okay, yeah, I know this person is not going to keep their promise, so I'm not going to worry about it.
But some people, you can know emphatically they're not going to keep their promises.
Right.
And some people genuinely want to make that promise, but then things may happen to where they can't, or someone who genuinely wants to do more for someone else but can't really do much for themselves.
See, I'm a clock watcher. And if you say you're going to meet me at 2 o'clock, 2:01, 2:02, 2:05, I'm gone.
Okay. That is at no time. Like, you better be there. So your thing is, if you're early, you're on time. If you're late,
you're out.
Late. It's done. It's over with.
It's over. And especially with the availability of contact right now, you got a cell phone, text message, some way,
email,
smoke signals.
But if you're not good at keeping promises, why make them?
Okay, so I don't know how to put it. So as far as a promise, like you just walk up to your wife, your significant other, and be like, "Oh, I promise I'm not gonna hurt you no more. Oh, I promise I'm not gonna hit you no more. Or I promise I'm gonna be there at your next meet or whatever." Like those type of things.
My mother would say, as soon as they say that, they lie. So what now?
So when they make another promise that it's really supposed to be significant and meaningful, then what?
But as
So do
many,
you pick and choose what promises you want them to keep?
I feel like when you keep saying it so many times, it's not as significant and it's not as real as it should be. You can keep saying something so many times. When you keep not going through with it, then it's like, yeah.
Okay, so when you with your girlfriends, ladies, and you be like, "Ooh, girl, I got a secret. You got a promise you can't tell nobody."
Then the promise already broke.
Because that person wasn't supposed to tell you.
Right.
But if it's about that person saying, "Okay, hey, this is what I'm going through, but I want you to promise don't tell anybody." Now, is it how you word it? Or is it still going to be a promise?
So, see, here's the thing. If you're going through something, why does it need to be a promise if you need to tell somebody? Okay?
But that's what happens.
That is what happens. A lot of people, that's my boy, he going to be there for me. I hear a lot of guys that have gone to prison and say, you know what, my boy's going to take care of me. They're going to be there. They're going to help me with my books.
We know that's a lie.
Okay? And then they go there, they gelling all by themselves. Ain't nobody putting no money on no books. Ain't nobody taking no phone calls. Don't answer that phone because that call gonna cost me $30.
You think about something simple like you switch jobs, and you have these people say, "Oh yeah, we're going to be in contact with you. We're going to stay tight," and it's good for about a week or so, 2 weeks, and then as time goes on, so does the distance. And you hardly hear from them. And you may see a social media blurb in there, but other than that, it's like now you're out of their heart and out of their mind.
It's like out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
Yeah.
I have this premise about, for me, I don't make promises. And my kids are in their adult life. They got kids. And they say, "Daddy, promise you're going to do something." Absolutely not. I don't promise because there's an expectation with completing or doing what you say. And it's not just based on not making a promise, but it's on the ability to know for sure whether or not you're going to be able to do it. So the way I avoid promises is not making them at all.
Well, see, you and I had an incident years ago when I was doing 3 double shifts back to back to back. And you said, "John promised me," because that if I promise you, I'm going to do it. And I looked at you and I said, "I can't promise you that."
Yes, you did.
I have that integrity about me, and whether it be from my parents' upbringing, from God or whatever, but it's like I know what it feels like to have broken promises, and so I try never, ever to break promises.
And me and my wife, we're going to be married 40 years, okay? Shout out, give some applause or praise.
Confetti.
But in those 40 years, I have never, ever, ever made her a promise because I don't want to disappoint her, okay?
And sometimes I think that we get so caught up in speaking and not knowing, okay, I done made this person a promise. Now I got to follow along with it. But if I don't, then they're going to be mad. But things happen.
Things do happen. And I think we've taken it, the issue of making a promise further than what we're able to do. People in times past have made promises, kings and queens and monarchs and all these other presidents. I heard a politician today say, "Hey, we're going to be behind you, whatever it takes." That person may never be able to keep that promise. They're talking from a personal point of view. the way I look at promises is that you have the intent to do what's right, but sometimes you may not have the ability to carry it out.
But the fact that you even try to fulfill the promise, to me, goes a long way. You know, there's those people that will try to manipulate. They'll say whatever it takes for you to do whatever for them, knowing that they will never fulfill the promise.
Okay, so Taisha, how do you deal with people and their promises? You personally, as you sit here right now.
Me personally, I think I only accept promises from people I know who can possibly go through with it. Or in my head, you know, I might say, okay, well, all right, I accept that promise. But in my head, I kind of already have my guard up or already have stuff figured out already.
Okay. And what about you, Jay?
I would just have to say, if somebody makes me a promise, it depends on the person.
You know, I keep hearing it depends on the person.
And it does, because not everybody make promises, and it seems like the closest people to you are the ones that make promises.
And they're the ones that hurt you the most.
Some of them, yes. Mm-hmm. And it's hard. So I think the people closest to me that have made promises that have broken them, it's like the same promise has been broken. It's not like a different promise has been broken. It's like the same promise is over and over. So I'm just trying to learn how to move on. How do you get over it? I don't know. I think you just sweep it under the rug for the most part.
Okay.
And that's not always healthy.
And the one thing I would say is that when you're looking at making a promise, the promise is mostly for your comfort. Would you agree or not agree?
Agree.
But in the person that is agreeing to the promise, they 9 times out of 10 don't want to disappoint that person. So that, like it was said, you know, you have the intentum.
Yeah.
You speak goodly.
I speak. You know, they may have the intent on keeping a promise, but not the abilities or the means to keep that promise.
Have you ever accepted somebody's promise already knowing in your heart that they're not going to be able to fulfill it?
Yes.
So why would you do it?
Oh, in the back of my head, I'm like, we know that person ain't gonna keep that promise. Yeah. So you just go.
But you ain't even give them a chance yet.
But you only got a certain amount of chances. Because why I got to keep giving you chances?
Well, you know, they say love covers a multitude of sins, and it does. But it doesn't mean that we have to be doormats.
Right.
Exactly.
You know, and it's important for us to see, how do we respond to it? Because it's important for us, especially for those of us who are believers. Sometimes we do things knowing that the other person is going to fall flat on their face, but we do it anyway because God puts it on our heart.
Well, look at what you said. You said you couldn't keep that promise I asked you to make. And so we all know the rest of the story. That very next day, John got into an accident and hit a tree. And so his wife called me at work and said,
working all them hours.
Working. I mean, hey, man got to do what a man got to do. But he hit the tree, and so she called me and told me he was in the hospital. And so I went in, and he was laying there, and you know, I say, when you get out of here, I'm going to kill you. So.
And that wasn't a promise he didn't keep, because I'm here today.
So what I'm saying is that, you know, it's best to be honest about your intents and purposes and not create a false expectation from another person. If you know you're not going to do it, then don't make the promise.
Right.
And I think for me, I say to my kids, okay, mommy promised we're going to do this. Mommy promised we're going to do that. Or when we go to the store, mommy promised you can get a toy. Those are promises that I keep. And it may not be big, or they may not see it as as big now, but they will when they get older.
Yeah. You know, my father used to promise, oh, we're going to go to Mississippi one day. We're going to go to Mississippi one day. I was 10, 12 years old. I've been waiting on that ride to Mississippi ever since. I ain't been there yet with him. You know, so, you know, when you make these promises, people have an expectation of you. And you can't say something came up and they're going to be fine with that. You can't say, oh, well, I forgot about it and they're going to be fine with that. There's going to be some discontentment. There's going to be some hurt. There's going to be some resentment. And there's going to be broken trust.
Especially if it's a promise that they're depending on. There's people who might really hold on to that word and really depend on that word and really was looking for you to come through and stuff. And that right there can hurt someone's soul right there.
Because I don't want my significant other to be like, hey, babe, I'm sorry we didn't go out to dinner, but I promise next week we're going to go to dinner because I'm going to be waiting all next week. I ain't going to eat that day when it comes. I'm going to be waiting on that dinner.
Mm-hmm.
That's an expectation that you can't play about food.
Do you think that people know and understand what it is and what it means to be a promise keeper?
You know, I don't
think they
think
so. Not in this day
Not
and
in
age.
this day and age, no. I don't. Well, let me just say, I don't believe people know how to keep a promise.
I think they're trying to look for something they can get out of it also.
They say what you want to hear.
Yeah.
But they don't have the substance to back it up. And this is where, like when you were talking earlier about, it all depends on the promise, the person, the circumstances, and everything else.
And that's how I look at it.
You know, it's hard for us to, because we are in such contact with so many different people, with so many different backgrounds, that there's not a one set cookie cutter type thing to call a promise.
You know, with both of you ladies, I said, I'll be there for you. All you got to do is give me a call. And when you call, I'll say, okay, what do you need? And you'll tell me. I didn't ever say, I'll promise I'll be there.
No. Okay. He didn't promise that he was coming to Fort Wayne. But I just needed some prayer, and that's what he gave me.
Okay. But if you would have said, I need you here, I would have been there. Okay. But when you make somebody a promise, that's a bond, that's a relationship agreement. You know, like John was saying, that's even, you know, like God doesn't break his promises. You know, I believe that wholeheartedly in my heart and soul. But we as humans, we break promises. Yeah. But so it's better to say, hey, if you need me, give me a call and I'll do whatever I can at that time.
Right.
You know.
I got you, girl.
Ow.
But even to my wife, I don't make, she said, well, Benny promised me. No, I'm not going to promise you. I'm going to do my very best. Now, this is the woman I've been with since I found her on the playground. Okay. But I'm not going to make a promise that I know that, you know, situation in life can intervene and she's going to be depending on that. I'd rather leave it realistically healthy than put a false expectation on it. All right.
Amen.
Okay, so I got a question.
Sure.
So, is a promise in a marriage the same as a vow?
You know, it's funny you mentioned that because I remember a man came to me one day and he said, you know, my wife is sick, you know, kids don't like me, you know, the money, you know, we're having money problem. I didn't sign up for this. I said, well, in a way, you did. You said, till death do us part, in sickness and in health.
Richer or poor.
And that was now are we saying a promise or a vow or a covenant? That's the difference here.
Well, explain them to me.
Okay. A promise is between you and an individual where you have basically sometimes no bond or relationship. A covenant is between you and that person that's an agreement that you're going to keep to the best of your ability, just like God made covenants between God and man. Now, a marriage promise or covenant is one that's in a spiritual realm. Okay, in a spiritual realm. That's what the Bible says, and a man shall leave his mother and father and cleave to a woman, and they two shall become one. They become one person. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that covenant relationship, not a contractual relationship. Sometimes promises can be contractual as well as have some spiritual basis to it. What do you think?
No, excuse me. I agree with you. You know, when I took the vows for my marriage, I looked at my wife, Marcia, and I said, okay, now this is your last chance to get out. Because I don't.
I say to your wife, you're married.
I said, I don't believe in this divorce thing. You know, it's in a pine box and you get to choose who goes, you know, because when I say I do, that's for the rest of my life. And that's my intention, and that's my vow to God, and that's my vow to my wife. You know, when you talked about the spiritual aspects of it, you know, that's what makes the difference. You know, with a contract, you know, a promise between two friends, there's nothing there. There's nothing binding. You know, when you make it into the second one that you had mentioned, you know, that sometimes there is a legal contract.
A legal document.
You know, a legal documentation. But remember back in the day when you had a man shake another hand, the hand of another man, and it was a bonding contract, and the word was bonding? We've lost those days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those days are long. You know, it's kind of like when you go buy a car, and they have you sign those 40 sheets of paper.
Yeah.
Okay? They're saying you promised to pay this, you promised to do this, but we promised that if you don't make your car no payment, we're not only going to come get your car, we're going to sue you to the best of our ability.
And make your credit score go down.
And make your payments go up.
So I think that when we look at situations such as marriage, I don't like to look at it as a promise, but as a covenant between a man and a woman, between themselves and God. That is everlasting and non-breakable. You know, you can't get in a marriage and just because you don't like them 10 years later and say you want out. You should have thought about that before you got in. You know, I'm going to be honest with you.
This is where premarital counseling comes in and helps out a great deal.
You know, I was looking at my wife. I said, I'm going to ask her to marry me, but I want to figure out how is she going to look in 40, 50 years? You know, is she still going to be pretty? Is she still going to be, you know...
Now, what about those reality shows where it's, you know, married in 90 days or love at first sight, and they get married, and I'm sitting there thinking, you don't even know the person. Why would you commit to something like that?
But what I was saying, that's an unrealistic expectation because 4 kids later, me and my wife don't look nothing like we did. I mean, she had a pop bottle shape and I had a six-pack. Now I got a barrel and she
well, you know real men carry kegs, right?
Yeah, real men carry kegs, okay? But she still loves me for the covenant marriage that we made, not the promise we made, the covenant.
And I'm sure it wasn't for the looks.
Oh, I was handsome then and handsome now. Shoot, my mama.
That's just part of it. That's just part of it.
My mama told me I make all this look good.
Now you sound like Will Smith in Men in Black.
Look, hey.
Difference is I make it look good.
That's right. I make it look good. Shoot, I said that last Sunday. I'm close your eyes, wake up. It's still going to look just as good as it did when you close your eyes.
So, Pastor John and Pastor Benny, how do we move forward from a broken promise?
Oh, wow. Now you hit a hard part. The first thing I'm going to say, you have to come to a healthy level of acceptance of the situation or whatever the case may be. Some things are within a person's ability, some things are not. And, you know, when it comes to relationship, you have to accept whether the situation is resolvable. I believe every relationship, no matter how bad it gets, if God have joined you together, it will last.
I also think that even before that, there's got to be this component of forgiveness.
Yes.
Can you honestly forgive the individual? Because there's a lot of times we say we forgive them, and then it happens again. It's like, I knew you wouldn't change because you did this 5 months ago, and you did the exact same thing now. And who's going to say you're not going to do it next week?
A person once asked me, they said, how can you forgive a person by breaking a promise of being faithful, and then they became unfaithful? How do you resolve that? And I say that's entirely within you, whether you can live with the issue and move on.
Yeah, because you don't have to stay with them.
Right. And you also have to have that God component, to be able to learn that type of forgiveness.
I believe everybody can make a mistake, and sometimes they're hurtful mistakes. But
And I also feel, and this just may be me, everybody is capable of forgiving.
yes,
It's just on your own time, but they have to realize
it's going to take time.
what the forgiveness is for. You got to do it for yourself first, and then for that person.
All right.
But we also got that mindset that let's skip forgiveness. They hurt me, so I'm justified.
And hurting
And
You
them.
want to
And
pull
then
a Medea and you want to hurt them back.
That's right.
We
Knives
can't
out.
always do that.
All right. So, well, we've come to a pretty lengthy discussion on this. We might have to do a part 2 on this, because I think y'all need to get some forgiveness to y'all hearts too. So, all right. So this is Benny.
This is John.
This is Juria.
This is Aisha.
Healing Broken Souls. We'll talk to you soon.
Look around, we need hope. Dark world, we need hope. Broke world, we need hope. We all need hope, need hope, need hope. Look around, we need hope. Broke world, we need hope. We all need hope. But tell them it's hope for the broken. 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 Tell them it's hope for the broken. Yeah, it's hope for the broken. Yeah, it's hope for the broken. Yeah, it's hope for the broken. Boy, look around, we need hope. No question about it, can't get around. The whole world around us need hope. No escape.